GDC survey finds that 1 in 10 game developers were laid off, Sony have seemingly cancelled the Horizon MMORPG, and Resident Evil 6 might be getting a release on current-gen consoles. All of that today on TripleJump Gaming News. Good morning, Ben Potter.
Good morning, Peter Austin.
How's it going?
It's going well, thank you. It's news time.
It is news time. News o'clock, mother flippers.
Whoa!
Yeah,
it is. Certainly is. We've got 3 stories. You've already heard them, so thank you for watching.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
And we'll see you on Friday. We've start off, Peter, with some brilliant doom and gloom news. Well, a summary of past news,
That's
I suppose,
the thing.
isn't it?
It's like we already knew about all this, but it's been writ large in front of us in very sad terms. So the Game Developers Conference, GDC 2025, State of the Game Industry report, it found that 11% of game developers have been laid off in the past year based on a pool of over 3,000 respondents. There's a quote here. 1 in 10 game developers have been laid off in the past year, reads a section dedicated to tracking layoffs. I hate this sentence. Layoffs have become part of the industry. That's a horrible phrase,
They have.
but true.
Yeah.
With announcements now a weekly, if not daily, occurrence. About 11% of respondents reported being laid off in the past 12 months, and altogether, 41% of game developers have been impacted by layoffs this year, up from 35% in our 2024 report.
Which was already high. 2024 was, anyway. So this report goes into a lot of detail, breaks down various statistics of departments that people have largely been cut from, etc. Some pretty horrible quotes that we'll get to in a second as well. So here we are. Another standout statistic, only 43% of surveyed developers said there had been no layoffs at their companies in the last year. So 57%, that's maths.
Well done.
Had experience, thank you, at the company. The survey also gauged concern regarding future layoffs, and just 30% of respondents said that they are not at all concerned, with 12% answering other/NA.
Yeah, leaving 58% of game developers either slightly, somewhat, or very concerned about future layoffs. 18% very concerned about future layoffs.
You would be.
And those figures are apparently similar to last year. There was a breakdown of the departments, narrative seemingly being the top one for most layoffs, business and finance being the bottom one, that's 19% and 6% respectively. And then, there's some very sad quotes, really, from some of the respondents.
Yeah, these were anonymous responses. Developers impacted by layoffs were asked if they've found a new job, and the open-ended responses shed more light on the industry's job market. We've got no, it's been over a year and 500 plus applications while working to create and improve my portfolio. It feels hopeless at times. The games industry is killing me was another one. Someone else, though, said, yes, within about a month I was able to find a better position than my former employer could offer. I have a new job, but it's way worse pay level. And I think what might be the case for a lot of people, if they're feeling very concerned, I had to get a job in a different industry. So, we already knew that this was an absolute stinker of a year, and that so many people lost their jobs, and all we can do, I mean, I don't know what the solution is here. There's nothing that we can do about it apart from wish these people well and hope that they land on their feet soon.
And support the projects that you want to support. I mean, it's not like wholly on the consumer to try and back these people. Some of it is probably down to mismanagement and overreaching on the part of publishers and all sorts of other things. So we can do our bit, but that's not gonna, as you say, it's not gonna magically solve it overnight.
No, it's not.
No,
it's not.
Shame.
Moving on. To speaking of things being cancelled and
probably inevitably having layoffs associated with it.
Potentially so. Sony have cancelled the Horizon MMORPG. So this was apparently being produced in collaboration with NCSoft. It was announced, in 2023, that NCSoft had entered a strategic global business partnership with Sony Interactive Entertainment, and they were going to be creating an MMORPG based on Horizon. Now, it's unclear whether or not this MMO, I mean, are MMOs live service? It sort of falls into that category. It's also unclear whether or not this was a decision wholly made by Sony or if NCSoft in fact cancelled it internally. There's been some scuttlebutt that it could have been NCSoft who actually pulled the plug on this partnership.
Yeah, but it does also follow Sony cancelling various other actual live service projects only last week, and Ashton and I talked about it this week on Monday's news video. So there's certainly it does sound like NCSoft may have had a hand in it this time, but Sony also making big cancellations on live service at the moment. Actually, 3 projects were cancelled at NCSoft, not just the Horizon MMORPG. They were codenamed H, J, and Pantera. I think H is the one that they were calling Skyline or Sky something. Yeah, Skyline. Project H or Skyline is the one that is the Horizon game we're talking about.
Right.
But J also seemingly a Horizon project too. It's all very confusing, but
it is. And to make it even more confusing, there is a difference between this apparent MMO developed by NCSoft and the multiplayer Horizon title that is being developed internally at Sony. That Guerrilla have had rumoured for years and years and years at this point that they've been hiring for. Is that a live service game? Is that inevitably on the chopping block next? We don't know. It's never been formally confirmed.
No.
But this is a different thing from that. That's right, they were working on 2 multiplayer Horizon games. We've spoken about it before.
Yeah.
Why do they keep putting all their eggs in the Horizon basket?
Not sure. They put a lot of eggs in generally the live service multiplayer basket, and then even specifically there was a smaller basket within that, which was Horizon multiplayer.
Everyone just wants Horizon everything all the time.
Yeah, it's very confusing. NCSoft has been in somewhat rough shape as of late, resulting in this eyebrow-raising quote from co-chairman Kim Taek-jin. Let's create a 2025 where we work to the bone with the idea that if we don't turn around in 2025, there will be no future for NC again.
There might have been a mistranslation.
There may have been a translation issue there, or maybe that's exactly what he said.
It's scary, isn't it? It's something a supervillain says to his minions. It's a bit of a spooky quote. But this could well be NCSoft just trimming the fat and trying to streamline things, working on things that they know have a future, and quite frankly, given Sony's own belief in their own projects recently, if they did indeed cancel it and it wasn't Sony, I think that would be justifiable, because it might only be a matter of time before Sony come knocking and say, hey, we want out.
Well, exactly. So Project Pantera as well is something to do with an NCSoft MMO that neither of us had heard of. I've already forgotten what it was called, Lineage or something.
I think that's what you called it.
I think I called it that, and apparently it's one of the highest grossing games of all time. I guess it's very popular in South Korea, but fantasy MMORPG. Apparently Pantera may have been related to that franchise in some way.
So if they're even cancelling that, says a lot.
But Project H being the multiplayer Horizon title, and I'm now sort of doubting myself saying that J was also Horizon related, but so citation needed there. It's all, I don't really know what's going on over there or anywhere related to Sony.
It sounds like they don't either, so you're not alone.
Yeah.
Can we move on to the biggest news story of the day, please?
Ben is so excited, and rightly so.
Yeah.
Do you want to have the pleasure of reading the headline out?
Resident Evil 6, and then it says in brackets, the best
Resident Evil,
might be getting a release on current gen consoles.
Wow.
So this has recently been rated, is it? There's been a rating spotted. I'm just desperately scanning through it.
Just for the Switch version, I think, so far. Or for the Xbox version, sorry.
Right.
Yeah, so there's a new rating on the ESRB website suggesting Resi 6 may be coming to current-gen consoles. It was originally released on 360 and PS3 in October 2012. Blending action and survival horror to deliver what Capcom called an epic and dramatic horror experience. You'd be inclined to agree.
Yeah, it was the scariest thing I've ever played.
Yeah, it was then ported to Xbox One and PS4 in 2016 with all the DLC. And then Resi 5 and 6 came to the Switch in 2019 with all the DLC. And now I think this new rating is, at the moment, they've only shown a rating for Xbox Series X/S, but it might just be that the ESRB are still going through applications. So it would be weird for them to just release it on Xbox and not PlayStation.
Here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Game's spectacular, no one can argue that.
Sure, with that bus. We
With the-
love
yeah.
the bus that, when it's upright, would not fit in the multi-story car park.
Yeah, it's a level with a multi-story car
lying
park. It's
down
got a double-decker bus on its side. How did it get in there? It's a great
It
question.
slid in.
It's got a giraffe on the cover. You remember the 6 looks a bit like a giraffe
Yeah.
on the cover? Everyone loves Resident Evil 6, especially me. I have legitimately played it multiple times. It's a great co-op game. It
It would make for a good stream game.
It would. It would. You would not believe the stuff that happens in that game. However, the PS4 and / Xbox One version is fine. What could they possibly be doing to it apart from sell it to people again, sell it to me again?
I think they're just selling it to you again because
But it's backwards compatible. That's the whole point of this.
Well-
Backwards compatibility is for games that were brought forward to the PS4 and Xbox One era to then go forwards into the current era.
I mean, I know. I don't know why you're telling me. Especially given that Resident Evil 5, it has not yet had this same treatment. I mean,
Yeah.
again, I think it is available on Xbox One and PS4, so presumably there's backwards compatibility there, and it's on Switch. So Resi 5, it's covered in the way you're suggesting, but it's weird that they're saying Resi 6 and a proper PS5 Xbox Series version, yes, but not Resi 5.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because Resi 6 is didn't go down too well with critics. Don't really know why. Don't really understand that.
Yeah.
Whereas Resi 5 went down better with critics, but has aged racistly.
Well, it has, hasn't it?
And so
maybe that's it.
And so maybe that's why they're less keen to bring that one forward.
Yeah.
But this certainly, whatever it turns out to be, would not be a remake in the same style
No.
as 2, 3, and 4 have had. It would just be a remaster, which
It's kind of telling, isn't
bizarre.
it? That they've chosen to remake the, 2 and 3 and then 4 as well, and possibly 1 might be on the cards. And they're like, Resi 6 and maybe 5, maybe we'll just re-release those and then move on. We don't need to remake those.
I'd love it if they remade them and just did them differently. You know?
I mean, to be fair, if we're talking about a game which, all Ben Potter opinions aside, is not necessarily considered to be the best one by everyone.
Sacrilege.
Yeah, by the fake fans, they don't necessarily consider
They
it to be the
don't
best.
get it. You just don't get it.
You might think that's the ideal candidate to remake because, Resi 4, for example, very well loved by the fan base, and so to remake it, there was always a question of, do you even need to remake this game? It's still good now. Whereas Resi 6, the people who maybe don't like it so much, it might benefit from being remade and slightly tweaked and retold in certain places. So
My dream, right, is that they remake 1, and then you've got the remake of 1, 2, 3, 4. Confuse everyone. Throw convention out the window. 5 and 6, blank slates.
Right.
Fill in the gaps between 4 and 7.
just completely
Just make 2
new stories.
brand new games
Yeah.
and have it tie in however you want and then continue. Because
That's a good idea.
6 will always be there and it will always be perfect. And you've got
5
it on
will always
PS4
be
and Xbox
racist.
One. So 5 is a very sort of, it's a very sepia game. It's yellow, isn't it?
Very,
that game?
yeah.
It's
of its time. It's very it's just sort of generic kind
shooter.
of
Yeah, that sort of color palette. So I would, if I were them, I'd just confuse the hell out of everyone.
Yeah.
And just
You know
start again.
That's a good idea.
But who knows? Either way, I'll be playing Resi 6 when it releases on PS5, and I'll be going, "Wow, look at the ray tracing in that bus window.
Wow,
it's
now
in
I can
the
see
multi-story
reflections."
car park."
Yeah.
But let us know what you thought of all of today's stories. We'll talk about them potentially in more detail on this week's podcast. And stay tuned to our social media channels where we post video game news all the flipping time.
Yeah.
We'll see you again on Friday, but until then, goodbye.
Bye.